Hi, welcome back, and thanks for listening. I'd like to apologize for the upcoming volume discrepancies between the two parties in the interview. I've never recorded on Skype before, and I didn't get the volumes right, so I apologize. I hope you enjoy anyway. Thanks for listening. Okay, welcome to Art A&A with Leslie Davidson and the Artist as Entrepreneur. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. We're doing an interview with practicing artists to give us a better understanding about the opportunity that is available for artists to create viable business plans. Helen and Keith have been painting for years, are marketing experts, teachers and entrepreneurs in the arts, and have graciously offered me their time today to speak about Wilson Street Studios and their artist retreats. So welcome, Helen and Keith.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Helen. I'm very happy to have them on. I've known them for several years, and they're great fun to see on a regular basis, so I expect an interesting interview. Helen, do not fail. So if you guys would just give me a little bit about your art background and how you came maybe from your marketing into the arts and the retreats, or give me a little bit of background about how you got to where you are now.
I think it almost started with my art before it was even the marketing company, because I was always a bit of an artist. I think like so many people, when you're 4 years old and then you go through public school, high school, and you're recognized as being really talented, and then it stops because life takes over and you do other stuff. And it took a long time, long after we became photographers and audiovisual producers, and then when we saw that really about to hit the skids, that we knew that technology was going to go. We turned to marketing, creating logos, graphic arts, and slowly but surely, I think by the time I was 55, I did a painting that everybody liked. I got very excited about it, and then did nothing for the next 2 years. And then, that's what you do. You think, oh, this is for me, and then you're actually afraid to go at it again. And so Keith began to prod me and say, look, Caprice is giving a course, let's go take one, and that's how we met up again, wasn't it? We took an art course, and to make me go, Keith said he would accompany me. He'd see to it that I, didn't play hooky.
Nice,
and so he didn't, yeah. And I don't think Keith expected to be really painting seriously himself. In fact, I think you recall he hated everything he did initially.
Yes, I remember that brightly and vividly.
Yeah, it was hard.
It was very painful.
Very painful.
For all involved.
And every time wasn't he excited about it? He said no, he found it painful and he hated it. What he was doing, he didn't hate, he always went at it very enthusiastically, but then hated the result. And then one day there was this sort of epiphany, something happened. And it was just, one painting after another after that. So, and then we went to an art retreat. And as the British, say, we were gobsmacked. This was one wonderful way to go at art. So Keith decided if there weren't that many around, he was going to start them himself.
When I thought, okay, let's go on art retreats, and I started searching for them, and I found that you could go to the south of France or Italy or, for a week or two at a considerable many $1,000. But in Ontario, close by, 2 or 3 days, no, there just didn't seem to be many things like that. And we so enjoyed that one retreat where you were immersed in the art for 3 full days, painting all day and talking about art in the night. We wanted to do it more, so because there wasn't them, I decided to do one, and did one 3 years ago, and then 3 last year, and now we're doing 5 this year.
Right.
They're popular, and we enjoy them. We do them because we enjoy them.
Is it also a hope too that you can get that done and have it financed by other like-minded people?
Well, I mean, the goal would be for it to actually make a profit.
Right.
Yes. It'd be nice.
Yay, profit!
Yeah, at the moment, I'm happy if it breaks even, but I'm expecting this year, if enough people sign up, we will actually be paid for our efforts, because it's actually quite a large effort putting them together. It's not so large that I would have not done it if I'd known before, but I certainly know that it's taking time. We'll probably never make enough profit from it to make up for the time that I steal from the business to do it. But we do enjoy it, and we go there and we hire instructors we think are great, and we want to, be with and take classes with. So, we learn from them. So, not only do we have the chance of making some money from it, we learn.
Now,
and then,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that originally Helen had said, well, I can teach workshops. And it wasn't that I put her down, but I said, how about we get some other instructors first, and then when we as Wilson Street Studios and our art retreats get better known, then you do one of them. And this year she is.
Yeah, that's
and
fantastic.
She's getting students coming.
Yes.
You have a lot to offer, though, Helen. You have an enormous amount to offer. And you have a great teaching style that is very story-oriented.
It's very story-oriented.
Yes, you generally are very story-oriented.
The other day I said to my class, I said, okay, this will just take a minute. And one of them turned to me and said, oh, darling, it never takes a minute with you.
It's true, but they're always good stories.
But they still sit still for it. They wanted to hear it.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
We've taken instruction with a lot of instructors, and a lot of them just aren't that good. They go up and they paint, and they do brilliant things when they're painting, but to get into why they're doing it, or to get the direct help, it seems to be few and far between the ones that can do that. The instructors we've selected do that, and I've watched Helen teach because I've gone up there for various reasons with her. Like, she teaches up in Aurora sometimes, or quite constantly, and she manages to get the students to get into things that they're otherwise maybe a little reluctant to do, and they enjoy themselves. And it's unlike a lot of the art classes we've been in, there's a lot of laughter, and they're having a great time at the same time they're learning stuff.
Well, we did that with you too. We were always laughing.
But that was part of it, and that was something that I understood too, was that the social aspect of it was, for me, just as important as the art. Like, I knew that was 50% of the reason a lot of the people were coming, was the art plus. And
I think it helps you be more creative.
Well, to loosen up and feel comfortable amongst a group of people. Because, you know, you're performing. Making art amongst other people is a performance. And if you're not comfortable with that group, you're not going to be as giving of the creative process, I think. And I can see you making people really, really comfortable in that arena. Because part of it, too, is you're so open about being human and being, like, flawed. And, you know, go ahead. It's true. You're so great to be around because... Go ahead.
No, this is where I'll say this is where I goofed, or I'll show where I had a great start, and then, just like everybody else, I took my turn at screwing it up at the end, and they see, but they see where I screwed up, and that helps them. And it also helps them relax, because I think having a goddess of painting who never puts a brush wrong is terrifying. I mean, how would you ever even be that yourself?
Well, it's idolizing as opposed to something, you know what I mean? It's more of a worship, idolization situation than being able to be taught. For sure. I just had a framing demo on the weekend, and I have never been able to do it in the dozens of times that I've done it without totally screwing something up. Like, completely. And I'm like, okay, guys, just wait for it. I'm going to totally mess this up somehow. And I did, and they're always really glad. Well, we would have done that too,
Yes.
So I'm like, this is what you're not going to do. Now, how do you pick your teachers?
And I think...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh. No.
What happened there? I just brought the conversation to a screeching halt.
No, but we look for people like that too. We look for people that I remember Dawn Cavan one day in a class when somebody did something wrong, and or she felt it was wrong. She painted an area a color, hated it. There was this cry of anguish, and he just sort of crossed his arm, folded his arms, looked at her, and said, "Oh, get over it. It's acrylic."
Yeah.
And we just collapsed with. I know, and that's human.
Yeah.
And that he knows that because he's been there too.
Right.
Well, one of the to be a little more the step by step of how we got instructors. The very first thing is, who did we like?
Right.
I mean, we picked people. Apart from Dawn, who we had gone to classes with, we picked artists that we liked as artists, and then we found out, did they do instruction as well? Because we didn't know whether, like we have Herbert Pryke and Edward Abella as instructors this year, as well as Don Calvin, and we didn't know if Edward and Herbert actually did instruction. But then we thought these would be really great guys if they do instruction. We went and found, yes, they did. And so they were already doing that, so they knew what they were doing that way, and they had a style that suited what we were looking for out of an instructor.
And of course, location. Having to find the right location, not only because the landscape in that area lends itself, but the place itself is suitable for putting up people. And in case of rain, they have a room, a space that we could work inside, and that isn't easy.
Yeah,
that's not easy.
That was probably the most.
Yeah, how did you set that up?
Well,
look at the face.
That's the most.
Yeah,
it's one of the most difficult parts. Let me start that again. It's one of the most difficult parts of putting. Oh no! It's
bad.
It's one of the most difficult parts of putting together the retreats was finding locations that had that special room, because you're plein air painting. You're out there in the air. Well, if it's pouring, you don't want to waste the weekend, right. So you need a place where all the students can gather around and paint. Nobody advertises that they do that. You look at a bed and breakfast or a motel or a hotel or whatever, a resort, they don't say, oh, we have a room that you can paint in. Right. So you have to do a lot, and most of them have no real spaces. So you have to do a lot of searching, and instructors were easy. The general location was easy. Finding the venue that you could actually host a group of people in and paint if it was raining, that took months to find the right places.
Now, did you have to go road trips to find this stuff?
Meeting people.
Meeting people.
No, all of the finding was done through the internet.
Oh,
I mean,
yes, technology.
Finding the
yes, for once.
This would not be doable if it wasn't for the internet.
Oh, can you imagine making all those trips to all those places? They're not even there at the time that you have time to do the search.
Right.
They're going.
Right.
So it's email. And then you really like a place, but if you're emailing, they don't answer because they went to Arizona or something in the meantime. So it's doubly hard, you know, like they're there but not.
Can you?
And like I said, and then there's food. I have to cook sometimes.
That's right.
Good thing I'm good.
You're a fantastic.
Don't have to correct this.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you
She's
are.
only cooking
that's enough of a reason to go. But yeah, you're a
well,
fantastic.
you want good food.
I know. I have no doubt. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did make sure that in all the locations that was either the place itself provided really good food or there was a restaurant nearby that did. And in the one that's isolated, which happens to be the one that Helen is teaching at, we're doing the cooking.
Nice.
And so I do cook as well, but Helen makes all the plans because she's the one who has the brilliant ideas of what people can eat.
Menus for 3 days, for 3 meals a day, for X number of people, and bring all the food. And sometimes the utensils.
That's a nightmare to me. I'm like, that's a nightmare.
It is, but I've carried it off.
I'm glad someone else would do that.
Well, we did.
I'd pay for someone else to do that.
We did.
Well, I always wanted to run a B&B, so that was sort of like a mini chance to do something along those lines, but actually much more involved.
How did you enjoy it?
More than breakfast, that's for sure. How did I enjoy it?
Yeah, the cooking part of it.
Loved it. Loved it.
Yeah,
loved it. I could be a camp cook. I'd be good.
Last year we did one that we did the cooking. Was last year or the year before?
Year before.
And it was
8 people.
It was 8 people, and not including the instructor and the thing, so it was 10 people. And we handled it. It was a lot of fun. And frankly, I think the meals were better than the restaurant meals that we had at other places.
Well, you know, and besides, I mean, we do take into consideration certain, you know, requirements, dietary requirements.
Right.
We can't get too far off, but certain gluten-free, lactose, I mean, I can always accommodate that kind of situation.
That's
but, yeah. You know, it's always healthy. That's one of the things that we try to do too, and not have too many carbs, but plenty of wine.
Fantastic. Now, what do you do to ensure?
One nice thing.
Go ahead.
I was just going to add one little thing. One nice thing that's happening this year is there's one of the all of the venues are allowing this, and because one of the painters is bringing his 2 dogs, you know, so having the whole family there basically, and in some of the venues people are bringing their spouses, their non-painting spouses, because the rooms are set up in such a way. Like there's some going off to Charlevoix with us. Spouses are going. One's going off golfing, the other's going antiquing. And the rest of us go out painting.
But the answer is, if you don't have a husband, you can bring your dog.
Now, do you set that up for the non-painting spouses? Do you have them have the activities like there as options, or is that up to them to kind of, you know, keep their own days busy, or how do you manage that?
It's up to them. We like for the people going to Charlevoix, I did do a quick search to find the golf courses in the area for them. Yeah. But it's up to them to make their arrangements and things.
Yeah.
Like I don't know when the golf course from another, but
actually, yeah. When we went to Charlevoix, my God, nearly 5 years ago now, we knew that one of the spouses was coming along for golf. He never did go golfing. There was so much else to do that he just was so happy, so busy, never got to the golf course.
Really?
So, yeah, that was. And sometimes they accompanied us and watched us paint and kept us company. And for them, it was just a different kind of experience. They wouldn't have done that otherwise.
Well, last fall, one of the spouses wanted just a time away, and he sat reading books in the cabin and looking at the lake. The other one, the wife was a quilter and just sat quilting.
And she there was a space for her to just sit away from everybody and just finish that quilt, because otherwise at home, not possible. Too many distractions.
Right, and that's probably...
So we don't just want to see her work, you know.
Yeah.
Because she was an artist too.
Yeah, and that's a draw for them to just be in a different, you know, outdoors nature location, be able to enjoy that and do their own hobby interests as well.
Yeah, and it's not that long. It's not like you're away for an entire week or two. It's just for, in most cases, it's a weekend.
Right,
right. You know, Thursday for Wednesday night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning.
Now, what do you think is the draw for an artist to go on a retreat? What do you think that they're going to get out of that they wouldn't be getting in another art class?
Well, I think it goes back to the reason we did it in the first place, that being totally immersed in art. You get up in the morning, you have breakfast, you head out to the first location, you start painting. You're painting, you stop for lunch while you're with all the rest of the artists. You're talking about the painting and the issues and the things. Afterwards, you look at a demo from the instructor, then you paint some more. Then we go back to the venue, you have dinner, you talk about painting during dinner, and then afterwards, we're all talking about painting or art.
We put our work up, we critique it, we get feedback, and it's intense. You know, it really, and sometimes maybe that's why 3 days is enough, because it is intense. Life is art. It's nothing, it's like being an apprentice in a studio, you know, of Rubens or Raphael. Your life is art, morning till the end of the day.
Although one or two, I think, over the period of time, sort of at the end of supper, they went off on their own because they couldn't take the intensity of also talking about art after dinner.
Right.
But, I mean, because we don't force people to do it. People can do what they want. But there is this tendency to, as like-minded people, sort of gather together and talk about what we all know and like.
And sometimes you go way off art and you talk about Scott or something. But it is still with... Well, you know, but it is with like-minded people, and that, you know, so many times you want to talk about art, but nobody else does because, well, they're not into art.
Well, also the other thing is, at least with two of the instructors, well, Don Cavan and Edward Abella, they're both musicians as well, and so with Edward, there happened to be a piano at the place we were at, so he was playing piano selections, and with Don Cavan, his wife came along, and they're folk singers. And so afterwards,
guitars,
we were
the mandolins, the accordion, it all came out. We just spent in the Ottawa Valley. We spent one night in one farmer's former granary turned into a parlor, and we just sang all night, or listened to them, which was even better.
That's awesome.
But it was. Yeah, it was sort of like what you imagine happens down in the Maritimes, you know, sort of a ceilidh.
A ceilidh,
fabulous.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
A ceilidh.
Ceilidh. You know what's interesting that you brought up? It's interesting that you brought up that idea about being immersed in art, because, like, you guys, whenever you come in, I talk to you about art. I'm around art every day. You know, I talk art every day. I'm not lacking for people to be around, to be with artists. But that's not the case. Like, I'm in my little art bubble, really, right? And this is such a draw. I meet people that come into the store and say, oh, you know, I wish I could have this more. I wish I could be around people who are interested in art, who understand, who can share this. Figures, can you hear the phone ringing?
Yes.
Yay! You know what? I even unplugged it before the interview, and then plugged it in to call you and forgot to unplug it.
Oh, that's
so, excuse me for just 1 sec. Yeah, I can see that being such a draw to so many people who maybe spend their weeks, you know, as an accountant or a bookkeeper or, you know, in an office and have this hobby and never have the opportunity to be immersed in such an artist atmosphere from morning to night. That's so nurturing.
Their families maybe don't really want to be, you know, talking about art, and their best friends, they want to be talking about other stuff.
Right.
You sort of get into these situations where the chat is all about something else, and you'd love just to talk about art or music or something, just the music you listen to when you paint, that kind of thing. Well, who else cares?
Yeah.
But other artists, they get it.
Yeah, well,
They
that's
get it. Or they want
That's
pointers.
the understanding.
And
it's the understanding as well.
Yeah.
It's not just the weekend painters too. We're actually having there's a couple of professional artists who make their living as artists, and they're inquiring about going on these retreats because the whole feeling of going on a retreat, they just like it, even though they're not there because they so desperately need instruction. They just want to go off in this atmosphere of being out there with other artists.
And being
away from distractions, daily distractions in your home, like the telephone ringing, or having to wash the dishes or take care of the yard, or you can devote this weekend to your art.
All those, that's right. All the guilt trips that are waiting for you. Oh, you're painting when you should have been dusting, or who knows what else, or that paperwork that's waiting for you. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't see it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I'm just glad these kids can't the dust.
So now, how do you see this as adding to your art business? Like, how is this part of the whole? Is this where you're going in direction? Like, how do you see this fitting into your art business?
Well, part of the art business is getting better as artists, and so it's allowing us to grow, be exposing us to lots of other artists, so that helps us grow.
Other locations. We might not go there ourselves if it wasn't for the fact that we've just gathered up this whole group and we are going off there.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes those locations, it's not easy just as a couple to go off there and go off painting, but as a group, it's much easier. But also, my brain just went dead.
We'll be back next week with the second half of the interview with Helen and Keith. Thanks for listening.